Palais, my son. Look, some good news. Hold on. Palais? Yes, that's right. Boy, SAT has something called, hold on, Palais. Look, talk, SAT is having a special for this independence season, and you need to get connected to enjoy the benefits. It's called Palais. Once you set up and connected with SAT, you can talk to your mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, stepmother, stepbrother, stepsister, the whole step. Palais is so sweet with your connection to SAT Telecoms, and especially when you get your internet connection, no hidden fees, no hidden charges. You get free SAT to SAT telephone connection. You also get free installation, and you get no charges on your talk time. And you get your telephone for free. Oh, baka pay, boy. You know, yeah. Palais. Baka do. So you have at home your TV, SAT TV. You have your internet, SAT internet. And now, phone. Look at Palais. All your talk is sweet. Hello. Take advantage of one of SAT's 5 internet packages in our Palais specials. You can get the Breezy, the Warm-Up, the Maverick, the Jetstream, and the Warp Drive. Don't forget the Palais. These packages starting at $28.75. Palais. Yeah, don't forget from SAT. This independence season, don't forget it's happening at SAT. Palais. Festival, c'est manger. Tout le monde, manger. Mais SAT, c'est Palais. Yep, Palais. Yes.
Good evening, I am Nisha Charles.
And I am Desmond Joseph.
And we are your presenters for today. Thank you for joining us for SAT TV News. Among the major developments, Reform Crack Addict reveals his dark past.
Bahamas opposition leader under threat after election loss.
Compromise deal on Eurozone bank supervisor.
And in sports, FIFA secretary taken to hospital during a visit to Brazil.
Details of these and other stories after the break.
Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit says that the government recognizes the need to ensure that everyone has access to clean pipe-borne water, and his government will continue to work hard to ensure this is made possible. Mr. Skerrit made the statement at a site visit to the West Coast Water Project on Wednesday, October 17th, pointing out that the government's goal of achieving 100% access to potable water on the island. The project is being financed by the government of Dominica and the European Union and will cost in the excess of $13 million. Mr. Skerrit pointed out that so far the project has provided employment for over 50 locals.
So again, it speaks to the kind of economic activity these projects create in Dominica on the West Coast. I mean, most of the all the construction materials purchased locally, truckers, and what have you, benefiting from this project. But very importantly to it, this is a project that we've heard about for a very, very long time. And when we came into office, there were designs, there were on the project, there were concepts of the project. We had to go through the process of redesigning the project, making some adaptations to it, negotiating the financing for this project, and finally we started. Because when you come from Capuchin all the way down to Salisbury, St. Joseph, you always hear of the unreliability of the supply of water. I mean, whenever I had meetings in Dioblan, Bioche, I mean, this has always been always been the main point of concern for the people of those communities.
Mr. Skerrit says, although we may have 365 rivers, the call of some persons that water should be free in Dominica is not possible, as the cost to take this water to our home is very expensive.
For example, on this project, we've had to construct an access road to the treatment plant. And the cost of excavation, the cost of construction of the road is significant. And when you look at the returns on this project, you will never be able to realize any return on this project, because the government has recognized that the provision of clean potable water is a social need, and therefore we have as a government to invest in the improvement, the expansion and the creation of new water projects in Dominica. And this is consistent with what we've been doing over the last several years. We have spent several tens of millions of dollars on improving water sources in Dominica, and also in implementing new water projects.
He stated that they have just completed water projects in Delices, while they are working on other projects in communities such as Penville, Warner, Campbell, Shawford, Petit-Savan and Grandpa, among others.
When in 2006, I believe I learned for the first time that in places like Goodwill and so forth, we had asbestos pipes in St. Joseph. And I took immediate decision and give DOASCO instructions to replace all asbestos pipes across Dominica. And that cost us several millions of dollars also. And we also have bends ongoing now. And very soon, we will commence the construction of the water supply in Penrice and Bells.
The Prime Minister says once that issue is addressed in the areas of Penrice and Bells, we will have achieved 100% universal access to clean potable water in Dominica. The Penrice Water Project is expected to cost more than $5 million. Access to clean potable water is a social good and is never about the return that can be made on it. Minister of Land, Housing and Settlement and Water Resource Management, Honorable Reginald Austri, says Dominicans don't pay for water, as the only cost that is passed on to the consumer is for servicing and taking the water to the system.
Most of the communities are small. They're in the hills, they're in the mountains, and so you can appreciate the challenges that we face in taking water to the people. The other thing is who pays the price for those waters. Like we did 7 priority water systems recently. Campbell, Warner, Dalis, Petit-Savan, Benz, we're going to do Penrice. At a cost of what, $15 million. Now that didn't come from the European Union. That came from the government, the treasury government, because DOASCO doesn't have money. So government has to raise that money. And thank God we had the existence of Petro-Carib in Dominica, and they made about $10 million available so we can bring water to those small communities.
Mr. Austri added that additional funds need to be sourced because apart from laying the pipe work and building 2 water intakes, 9 storage tanks need to be constructed, which will cost an estimated of $10 million.
Young people are going places in sports in Dominica. This comes from Mayor of Roseau, His Worship Cecil Joseph, at the Independence Athletics meet this week. He says that 9 years ago, the Jamaican athletes who are now on the world stage never thought that they would have gotten there.
Do not let your school be the end of your success. Continue, because I know that you can make us proud as a people. But I want to say too, that I'm very, very, very much disappointed. Disappointed if you look around you today, because I'm a person who speaks my mind, and however people think, that is up to them. But at the end of the day, whatever I say means good.
He was very disappointed that such a grand event, showcasing the good in the young people, that only 2 media houses were present. He was ashamed to say that if it were for a negative reason, the rest of the media houses would have been there to display their downfall.
Let us take these young men and these young women, let us adopt them as our own, because with the media, things go places. And I want to say how disappointed that I'm also with the Government Information Service, GIS. They too should be here to ensure that whatever happens here today would go out to the rest of Dominica.
He wanted the media houses to broadcast the great achievements of the youngsters, and he commended SAT-TV for being there to capture the moment. Despite the small number of media personnel present, he encouraged the athletes to continue to do their best and to excel in their sport.
I want you to prove the media wrong by doing well for yourself, doing well for your community, and doing well for your country. And they would have no other choice after the fact to come and interview you. Many of them did not know about Lou and Gabriel, and they felt proud of her after the fact. But the point is, they got the message out.
He mentioned the achievements of Cedric Harris in 1996 when he took part in the Olympics that year in the 800-meter race, and says the young Dominican athletes should look up to him.
For the girls' short put, the activities going with quickly practice area at the back of the number 2 stand.
And in more local news, local photographer Mr. Josiah St. Amy believes that he has what it takes to promote Dominica through photography. Mr. St. Amy is originally from Dominica, however he did most of his studies in Canada. He says it is because of this experience gained through Canada's photography institution, he has decided to launch his business called King's Photography in Wesley College for Sunday, October 21st.
Well, it's gonna have a wide range of entertainers at the show as well. It's also like a concert. So we'll be featuring Ophelia Marie, which is the highlighted act, along with other local entertainers from Dominica, Emma Moses, Rice and Son from Wesley, Aliyah, Sawana, Divine, Atonia.
Mr. St. Amy stated that he is very pleased that he is receiving support from local artists such as Ophelia Marie. He has been doing the photography for 3 years, however he's been involved in promotion for about 7 years. There are more opportunities abroad, especially Canada, but Dominica has a lot of natural attributes, beautiful sights and resources to take photos of and can be used as a method to attract tourists. He says preparations for the upcoming event have been going great so far.
Well, the preparations have been going pretty good, and I must say I'm grateful to the sponsors who have invested their time and money into this event. The main sponsor for this event is the Northeastern Funeral Association, along with the Marigot Cooperative Credit Union and Carlos Tire Repair.
Because he's involved in many Dominican events abroad, promoting Dominica will not be a difficult task for him.
I'm involved in a lot of Dominican events in Toronto, so I just basically want to be able to join or merge the both aspects of it. Like for instance, I'll be able to promote events for Dominica in Toronto, so that way Dominica could be benefiting from things that are Dominic oriented in overseas.
Mr. St. Amy wants to take this business worldwide and is asking for the public support this Sunday at 3 p.m. It is a non-profit event where people can get their photos taken for free. For those coming from Portsmouth, the location will be at the end of Wesley, and those coming from Roseville, the location will be at the start point.
In more news, persons are now more knowledgeable in floral arrangements, effective business management, and fundamentals of employment law. This comes as the National Development Foundation of Dominica, the NDFD, held a closing ceremony for the various courses. 70 individuals enrolled in the programs held from July to September 2012. Executive Director of the NDFD, Mr. Ronald Knight, says at the NDFD, they always implore people to take advantage of every learning opportunity because it is key to job creation, poverty alleviation, and to remain relevant and competitive.
What we do not want is our citizens to get left behind. We want to place our people in a position not only to compete, but also to be successful. In the past, we've concentrated a lot on various business training, but we've come to realize the importance of skills training as well. And as such, we put on this flower arranging training seminar, which was very well received. And as you can see, the evidence is there that the people actually learned.
They will also be undertaking new programs including refrigeration, garment making, food preparation, and cosmetology. Facilitator for the Effective Small Business Management course, Mr. Brendan Defoe, says he delivered what he feels to be a comprehensive overview of what is needed to start a small business successfully.
Seeing the economic climate right now, we see how difficult it has been and the challenges experienced because of the global downturn. We would like to position our entrepreneurs to be very mindful of what is upcoming in the environment of business, how to be strategic, how to be thoughtful and mindful. So because of this, I picked some key topics that we went through over the period of the 4-session hearing.
Topics covered in that area included steps to setting up a small business, marketing and promotion, and costing and pricing. Fundamentals of Employment Law facilitator Mr. Gerald Burnett says business owners need to know the law if their businesses is going to succeed.
And what we have found, persons who have been working in the area of industrial relations over the years and from research done from the Employers Federation and those who have had contact with the Industrial Dispute Tribunal, is that many employers, whether through lack of knowledge, whether deliberately, or just it happened, many employers find themselves in situations where they don't manage the legal aspect of the labor relations well.
They try to cover all the law that requires the knowledge of the employer. Flora arrangement facilitator Mr. Anthony Paul says with all these florists and decorators available now, there is opportunity for a lot of money to be made. The participants were all very happy to be part of their individual programs and thanked the NDFD for making them available. They received certificates of completion for the various programs.
And in more local news, Chief Scout Commissioner Mr. J.M. Bunty Liverpool truly demonstrates that people are capable of changing. Mr. Liverpool says what motivated him to get off the drugs was when his second son said to him that he no longer has a father.
And then at one time, Tiger told me, Daddy, he wrote me and said, Daddy, I am not too sure that I'm going to have you involved with my kids.
Why was that?
Because I was a paro. You don't want a paro being the grandson of your kids.
I mean, grandfather.
And like, yeah, with the grandfather that is. And like Bull, you don't want your father being, you don't want to be the son of a paro.
He says if the choice was left to him, he would probably still be in the village of Granby smoking crack. Mr. Liverpool says when he looks back, scenarios such as these strengthened his faith.
Walking without shoes, midnight, going to knock upon a dealer's door, upon his window probably, you know, and say, hey, boy, drop $2 down, my brother, is that the Batu Kila Batu, you know? Probably a partner that can even write his name well, you know, and me, college bred, having to go to a partner like that and then ask him to quit me 2 pieces of crack and then 10 to 1, I know that tomorrow I ain't going to pay him, you know. But I caught him, God neck and say, boy, I'll pay you tomorrow. But the partner self know that I am going to pay him tomorrow. But he knows eventually that he's going to get his money.
He added that back then he would have done almost anything and go anywhere for the drugs.
You are living again at the back end of Grand Bay, and then to get food, to get something to eat, you know, you would have to pass Abasu, go down by the bay, go by an old garden I had there, so there is a place called Bassi Ranger there, you know, get a coconut there and a pear, and for the whole day, well, I only had 2 books there, and then sit down there for the whole day, pear and coconut like a abolo.
Mr. Liverpool says from a social sense, this was a degrading life for him. He says most times he would be on the street past midnight looking for crack, which caused people to refer to him as Midnight Walker. Mr. Liverpool noted that his mother never gave up on him and is grateful for that.
Because a lot was expended on me. So obviously a lot was expected of me. You know what I mean? You know, I was already married and 41, and then my father still sent me up to the States to study. And when you come back, is in crack QAs, my brother. That just shattered the man. You know, like it did my children. You know, and Tiger told me once, Daddy, you must take some of your own advice.
Mr. Liverpool assures those addicted to any type of drug can change as long as they put their mind to it.
In more news, residents of Dubique were left stranded on the morning of Friday, October the 19th, as the route used to commute on a daily basis was blocked off from motor vehicle traffic. This was the case as one stranded villager advised us that the constant downpour of rain recently caused a large landslide which blocked the road at 5 a.m. this morning. Many persons who reside in the community such as Bagatelle, Font Saint-Jean, Petit-Savan and others who used this route to get to work were trapped on the other side. As a result, many persons missed work. Those who were brave enough found their way over the debris of rocks and dirt and crossed to the other side.
Normally I go down about 6:30 minutes to 7, right? And I've been there, it's about 9 o'clock now, and nothing is being done. They said something coming up to clear it up, but I don't know. So people just waiting, some people crossing, some scared, Right now I cross and I hope that they will clear it up so I can go back up home later.
The residents added that although the landslide is close to the sea, which is dangerous, she was not in any fear when she made the somewhat dangerous hike across the debris. She said she had no choice as she was already very late for work and could not afford to miss a day of work.
Well, we need a new road and the government have to do something about that because every time rainfall, landslide coming down and people have to go back home or reach work late.
So this landslide is a common...
Every time it rains, every year, every a few months is the same problem. So something have to be done as fast as they can. Is either they push back the sea or they blast the mountain.
Fortunately, neither pedestrian nor vehicle was in the area where the landslide came down, or this could have been a tragic story. This just goes to show that God is always watching over us. The landslide also caused a backlog of traffic and motorists had to go back to their homes as they could not get to their destination. Other residents pointed out that in addition to the recurring landslides during heavy rains, the road has also been in a deplorable condition for far too long, and it is time that something is done to fix it. While heading back to Roseau, our news team met with a team of persons who came to remove the debris of the landslide with an excavator so the flow of traffic was restored after a few hours of work.
And in more local news, primary school students are really taking a keen interest in this year's independence season. Students from primary schools such as the Pioneer Prep met at the Roseau Public Library on Friday, October 19th to learn Creole. Library technician as well as organizer of the event, Mrs. Cecile Ferdinand, says this is an opportunity for the children to learn Creole.
Okay, the main purpose of this is that we know that every year around this time is the Creole season. And most children, especially in the primary school, they don't know much about the Creole language and the history of the language. So we organize a program to help to teach the children a little about the language, and so that by Creole Day, they will have a little knowledge of the language and how to say a little words, how to say words and also phrases in Creole.
He said this will benefit them because they will know the history of the language. Therefore, on Creole Day, they will have the confidence to speak the language.
They will know a little about history of the language, and also on Creole Day, which is at least they will be able to speak or go to their friends and their parents and tell them what words and phrases that they know in Creole.
In terms of preparations, he says they selected children from various schools, mainly out of Roseau.
We selected children from different schools, but particularly we invited Pioneer Prep and Point Michel School because these schools are way out of town, and we wanted to reach these schools that are out of town because normally when we have programs we always ask the children within the area to come in, but we decided to reach a little further, in the Ulster district of Roseau, to have the children come in.
Mr. Ferdinand says he chose Felix Henderson to tutor the students because he believes his teaching techniques will keep the children interested.
For the program, we selected Mr. Felix Henderson because most of us we know when he gives his talks and so on, he try to spice it up, give the children jokes in between, and instead of getting someone that would be serious and have the children bored, I suggested Felix Henderson to do the program so it will make it a bit lively and they would enjoy the talk that he's giving.
He says he is satisfied with the children's participation and they seem to be having fun as well as learning.
Do anything unless I ask you to do it, even if you know. Okay? That's clear?
That's good.
Before we go ahead, any questions about our alphabet? Any questions? Is that a question?
Caribbean countries are being urged to ensure that they are members of the Caribbean Tourism Organization, the CTO, in order to take advantage of the benefits of being in such a prestigious organization. This call is coming from Secretary General and Chief Executive Officer of the Caribbean Tourism Organization, Mr. Hugh Riley, who said one of these key benefits is sharing best practices.
So if one of our member countries has taken the lead on finding a solution for a particular problem that's vexing the rest of the Caribbean, then there's no need to reinvent the wheel. So economies of scale, sharing information, applying best practices, those are among the benefits of being in the Caribbean Tourism Organization, and Dominica clearly is a part of all of that.
Mr. Riley says many governments in Caribbean countries need to pay more attention on not just inviting visitors but selling their country as a wholesome experience or package. He says this experience for a visitor in any country should begin from the moment he or she disembarks from whether airplane or boat, since the first impression is always a lasting one.
Well, I think one of the things that we have the greatest challenge in accomplishing, and I think we're making headway, is the acceptance of the fact that the Caribbean brand is essentially what we must promote internationally. The Caribbean brand is stronger than individual country brands. And so to the extent that our countries can be a part of the effort to market the Caribbean effectively overseas, then individual countries will themselves see the success therefrom. On a number of occasions in the recent past, when we have done that effectively, all of our countries have in fact benefited from this.
Mr. Riley says that Dominica is essentially at the forefront of a number of programs they do not at the CTO, while pointing out that a management team from the CTO is expected to visit the country for the purpose of conducting training programs. The Secretary General highlighted that Dominica has benefited from a number of programs such as human resource, hospitality, and efficiency, among others, which will utter well for those involved in the tourism sector.
The CTO provides services in human resource development. The CTO provides services in research and information technology, sustainable tourism development, conference planning, event planning, and also, and this is a significant point, a great deal of services in representation and advocacy. So if there is a matter such as aviation taxation that affects our member countries, CTO takes that on behalf of our member countries. So all of that to say that Dominica, as a central component of the membership of CTO, benefits from any successes that the Caribbean actually has.
Mr. Riley added that getting tourists to not only come to the Caribbean but spend money to boost the economy is a serious challenge they are constantly working on and trying to resolve.
The Caribbean is there or thereabouts in terms of keeping pace with international arrivals. We certainly could do better, but last year, for instance, the Caribbean welcomed approximately 24 million stayover visitors, and we're pretty much on track to do about that number or slightly above by the end of 2012.
Mr. Riley said we all need to make sure tourism for each country is profitable and make sure the spend keeps pace with the arrivals, which is very important, especially during this current economic downturn.
But we have to make sure that our business is profitable, that our hotels don't have to keep dropping their rates, that our attractions and our services and our restaurants don't have to keep on giving discounts and cutting rates just to stay in business, just to attract visitors. If the spend continues to lag, the challenge gets greater and greater. So you're absolutely right that the challenge is twofold: to continue to be competitive enough, because that's really what this is all about, but not to drop the rates to the point where we are no longer unsustainable.
He said this will require a regional effort if we want to make it possible. And Dominica's Director of Tourism and Chief Executive Officer of the DDA, Colin Piper, is pleased to announce that Ms. Nakima Roye has taken up the post of Head of Marketing at the Discover Dominica Authority effective Monday, 15th October 2012. The former administrative manager of Rainforest Aerial Tram, whose qualifications and experience are expected to complement the efforts of Discover Dominica Authority, has been involved within the tourism industry in Dominica for over a decade. This includes things with Rainforest Aerial Tram, from constructions to operations to management, as well as the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, where Ms. Roye has spent 5 years, beginning as a director and culminating as vice president. Ms. Rosie is excited to head the marketing team at the Discover Dominic Authority, as she hopes to invoke a new spirit, enthusiasm, and fresh, exciting creative ideas to the authority, with the ultimate goal of achieving the authority's mandate to increase visitor arrivals and foreign exchange earnings to the destinations. And in court, 26-year-old Warren Mark of Virgin Lane will now learn to resolve matters in a non-violent way after he was fined $600 on Thursday, October 18th by Magistrate Evelyn Baptist when he appeared at the Roseau Magistrates Court. Mark pled guilty to the charges of wounding and battery for an incident which occurred on Tuesday, October 16th. According to the facts of the case read by Police Prosecutor Inspector Claude Weeks, the victim was walking in Virgin Lane picking up bottles on the ground when he was stopped by Mark. He told him that if he continued, he will hit him. However, the victim's right to continue picking up bottles passed for his wrong, as he was then struck with a stick by Mark, which injured his finger. A report was made, and when confronted by the arresting officer, Mark said the victim provoked him and that he had no knowledge that his finger burst after hitting, as it was his foot he aimed for and not his hand. Although Mark said he was provoked, he indicated that the officer to tell the victim that he is sorry. Being handed down the sentence, Magistrate Baptist told Mark that his behavior was uncalled for, and at the age of 26 he should have better social skills than what was displayed in the incident. The fine is to be paid by March 31st, 2013, or in default spend 3 months in prison. There was no separate penalty for the charge of battery. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.